Christmas is one of the most widespread celebrations on the planet. Even in places where it's not an official holiday, the date crosses borders, inspires rituals, awakens memories, and creates symbols that go far beyond religion. But what few people imagine is that this celebration, born in an ancient village in the Middle East more than 2,000 years ago, has traveled surprising paths and transformed itself in completely different ways in each part of the world. Today, we will embark on a journey through the sacred roots of the continents, exploring the traditions, legends, customs, and curiosities that make Christmas a fascinating mosaic as diverse as humanity itself. Let's begin with Europe, the radiating center of many of the traditions that would later spread throughout the world. There, the harsh, winter-shaped customs, full of light, strong perfumes, and warm rituals designed to break the darkness of the season. In Germanic countries, such as Germany and Austria, the famous Christmas markets, known as Weihnachtsmarkt, emerged. These are spaces illuminated by thousands of small lights, with wooden stalls offering handicrafts, spiced sweets, wood carvings, and the iconic mulled wine. These markets have existed since the Middle Ages, when villagers gathered to sell products before the long, cold nights. Even today, they retain a magical air, as if each square held an ancient secret about to be revealed. But not everything in European Christmas is light and sweet. In the Alps, dark figures haunt children's imaginations to this day. Among them is Krampus, a being half goat, half demon, who walks through the villages during the month of December. He doesn't deliver presents, on the contrary. He punishes children considered disobedient. This contrast between light and darkness is part of the Alpine tradition and reflects ancient pre-Christian beliefs. In Iceland, 13 creatures called Lwyds descend from the mountains, one each night before Christmas. Each has a peculiar personality. One steals sausages, another slams doors, another licks pots. They are folkloric figures that mix humor and terror, reminding us that the Nordic winter has always been populated by supernatural beings. In Wales, there's an even more unsettling tradition. The Mari Lwyd, a horse skull decorated with ribbons and carried from door to door by masked groups who challenge residents to rhyming duels. The loser must offer food and drink. Dis Practis, which dates back to Celtic rituals of fertility and protection against spirits, is still practiced in some rural villages. In Italy, in addition to the nativity scene, there's the figure of Bufana, an old witch who flies on her broomstick on the night of January 5th Epifanito, delivers sweets to well-behaved children and cold to naughty ones. She represents a fusion of paganism and Christianity, being both feared and loved. In southern Europe, the atmosphere is different. In countries like Italy, Spain, and Portugal, the focus of the celebrations is not the tree, but the nativity scene. There, this representation of Jesus' birth has become an art form, with entire cities dedicated to assembling giant, scenographic nativity scenes, sometimes with hundreds of pieces. The Italians call this Praesepe Viventi, living nativity scene, where people take on the roles of Mary, Joseph, shepherds, and angels in public performances that enchant locals and tourists alike. In some villages in Catalonia, Spain, there is a controversial and comical figure in the nativity scene, the Caganar, a small statuette of a squatting peasant relieving himself. Although it seems irreverent, it represents humility, fertility, and the idea that everyone, even the sick, is part of the sacred story. In Scandinavia, where December nights seem almost endless, Christmas blends with ancient winter solstice celebrations. There, the tradition of the Yule, a large log, slowly burned for 12 days, symbolizes light, protection, and the rebirth of the sun. In Sweden, St. Lucia's Day, December 13th, marks the official start of the festivities. Girls wear white robes and crowns of lit candles, walking in processions while singing hymns. Light, in this context, is literally a weapon against the deep darkness of the Nordic winter. In the Gothic cathedrals of France and England, Christmas masses are held by the light of thousands of candles, creating an atmosphere of mystical reverence, reminiscent of the early centuries of Christianity. Crossing the Atlantic, we arrive in the Americas, where Christmas takes on multiple cultural layers. In the United States, the celebration blends with an imagery deeply influenced by 18th and 19th century literature. The modern Santa Claus, with his red suit, white beard, and sleigh pulled by reindeer, was popularized by illustrations and commercial campaigns that spread throughout the world. There, Christmas is almost a spectacle. Houses with extravagant lighting, entire neighborhoods competing for the most creative decorations, and Christmas carols playing everywhere since November. In Canada, in addition to the North American influence, we find French communities that preserve older traditions, including midnight dinners and religious processions. Moving down to Latin America, the tone changes completely. Here, Christmas is marked by a vibrant mix of faith, music, food, and popular culture. In Mexico, the famous Posadas reenact Mary and Joseph's search for shelter before the birth of Jesus. Families and neighbors are divided between those who ask for lodging and those who refuse, until finally, someone opens their doors, symbolizing hospitality and faith. Piñatas, although now seen as children's toys, originally had religious significance, representing sins to be broken as an act of purification. In Guatemala and other parts of Central America, processions called Posadas travel through entire villages for 9 consecutive nights, recreating the journey to Bethlehem with candles, chants, and prayers that echo through the cobblestone streets. In Brazil, the celebration takes on even more unique characteristics. In a tropical country, where December doesn't mean snow but intense heat, the Christmas dinner adapts. Turkey and cod coexist with fresh fruits, farofa, a toasted cassava flour dish, and regional dishes. The nativity scene is present in many homes, but the celebration is reinforced by diverse symbolism brought by indigenous, African, and European peoples. In some regions, such as the Northeast, popular festivals like Pastoral and Bumba Mu Boy blend into the Christmas cycle. In other parts of South America, such as Peru and Bolivia, Christmas maintains an even stronger fusion between Catholic tradition and Andean culture, with Masus celebrated in Quechua and in the colonial churches of Cusco, Potosi, and Quito, built on ancient Inca temples. Christmas is celebrated with processions carrying images of saints covered in gold, while Andean music fills the stone courtyards. In the Caribbean, countries like Jamaica and Trinidad blend Christian Christmas with reggae and calypso rhythms and Afro-Caribbean traditions, creating vibrant and unique celebrations. If you're enjoying this journey through the hidden traditions of Christmas around the world, leave a like now and subscribe to the Sacred Roots channel to explore more sacred stories, legends, and mysteries. Turn on notifications so you don't miss any roots. Upon arriving in Africa, we encounter a cultural richness that transforms Christmas into an explosion of music, rhythm, and community celebration. In West African countries like Nigeria and Ghana, churches are packed for long ceremonies filled with vibrant choirs, dances, and lively rituals. The Christmas spirit there is deeply collective, with entire families preparing large feasts to share with neighbors and community members. In Ethiopia, where most of the population follows Orthodox Christianity, Christmas called Ganias, celebrated on January 7th, and features ancient rituals. The faithful wear white robes and participate in ceremonies that seem to have survived through the centuries intact, with drums, chants, and movements repeated since ancient times. In South Africa, Christmas reflects the country's diversity. While the white minority maintains European traditions, black communities incorporate Zulu, Xhosa, and Sotho elements into the celebrations. Christmas carols are sung in different languages, and the feasts blend African dishes with Dutch and British influences. In some villages, traditional African ceremonies of gratitude for the harvest are held at the same time, creating a fascinating spiritual syncretism. In Egypt, where Coptic Christians represent a significant minority, Christmas is celebrated on January 7th with a 43-day fast, followed by a large feast. Coptic churches, some of the oldest in the Christian world, hold liturgies in Coptica language directly descended from ancient Egyptian creating, a living bridge between the Pharaonic past and the Christian present. Moving on to Asia, the most populous and culturally diverse continent in the world, we find fascinating contrasts. In the Philippines, Christmas is simply the longest on the planet. It begins in September and only ends in January. The streets are decorated with lanterns called parole, made to represent the Star of Bethlehem, and the Dawn Masuze Simbang, Gabi Gadar, devout crowds. In Japan, on the other hand, Christmas is not religious. There, the culture has transformed the date into something romantic and modern. Couples go out to dinner. Stores offer themed promotions, and a curious tradition has become established: eating fried chicken on the 24th. This started as an advertising campaign and became a national habit. In South Korea, where Christianity has grown exponentially in recent decades, Christmas has become a national holiday and is celebrated with enthusiasm. Evangelical churches hold grand services with neon lights forming giant crosses visible throughout the city. In India, Christmas takes on unique characteristics. Christian communities decorate tropical trees, prepare traditional sweets, and hold colorful processions. In Goa, a former Portuguese colony, 16th century Baroque churches hold solemn masses that blend Catholic liturgy with Indian music. In China, where Christmas is essentially commercial, the tradition of peace apples arose, given as gifts due to a linguistic pun between Silent Night and apple. And, of course, we can't forget Bethlehem in Palestine, where it all began. There, in the Church of the Nativity, one of the oldest churches in the world, built in the 4th century over the grotto where, according to tradition, Jesus was born. Christmas is celebrated 3 times: on December 25th, on January 7th by Orthodox Christians, and on January 19th by Armenians. Pilgrims from all over the world gather in Manger Square to participate in Masses broadcast live globally. The city, normally tense due to the region's conflicts, experiences a brief moment of truths and hope during the Christmas season. Finally, we arrive in Oceania, where Christmas is completely different from what we imagine when we think of fireplaces, snow, and woolen clothes. In Australia and New Zealand, December is the height of summer. Families gather on beaches, have seaside barbecues, and participate in typical seasonal sporting competitions. It's not uncommon to see surfers dressed as Santa Claus or Christmas trees decorated with seashells. Even so, many homes still preserve European decorations, a cultural heritage that remains, even when the weather suggests otherwise. In the Pacific Islands, such as Fiji, Samoa, and Tonga, Christmas is celebrated with community feasts, traditional dances, and Christian ceremonies held outdoors, under palm trees adorned with tropical garlands. Our final stop on this journey is Antarctica, the most isolated continent in the world. There, where there is no permanent population, only researchers, Christmas takes on a simple and profoundly human meaning. There are no grand celebrations or local traditions, but there is a collective effort to create a welcoming environment. The mess hall is decorated with improvised decorations, small meals are prepared, and scientists exchange symbolic gifts. Some make videos to send to their families, others gather to sing Christmas carols, even thousands of kilometers from any city. Amidst the ice and absolute silence, Christmas becomes a reminder of connection, humanity, and belonging. After traveling across all continents, one truth emerges: Christmas is not just a date. It's a global phenomenon that adapts, transforms, and absorbs cultures, histories, and feelings. In every corner of the planet, it takes on a new face, sometimes religious, sometimes cultural, and sometimes purely symbolic. But whether in the vibrant lights of Europe, the dances of Africa, the beaches of Oceania, or the white solitude of Antarctica, Christmas remains, in its essence, a moment of hope, reunion, and renewal. And perhaps it is precisely this capacity to be reborn in so many forms that explains why it has become one of humanity's most universal celebrations. If this journey through the sacred roots of the world touched you, please like, subscribe to the channel, and share this video. Here, we continue exploring the spirituality, history, and mysteries that connect peoples, cultures, and traditions. After all, every corner of the planet holds a truth, and every truth reveals a path.